Tell me about Act Normal. How are people receiving it? It's out in the world now. How have you found that? Your heart, your memories are out there now.
I was great fun writing it, but then when it had to be released, I thought, oh, there are people in this who may
Mm,
recognize themselves, and there are things about myself that are very private or personal that I wouldn't think to have a general conversation about.
mm,
But somehow the act of writing liberates you from all those anxieties and vulnerabilities, and you just try to be true and honest and genuine and worry about the stage I'm in now later.
hmm
And then, most of all, I just practice denial. And the one thing I've learned, because I've had a few books published, is that nobody reads them anyway. And all that anxiety, ain't nobody read them. You
You
wouldn't
give
buy
them
them.
for Christmas and then they go, "Oh, thanks, Pete." Yeah.
Absolutely, the table ornaments and doorstops.
Because one thing that I was going to ask, I noticed there's so much in this about family, about siblings, and have you had any conversations with your family? Has anyone said, "I don't remember it like that," or "That's not how it happened, Pete"?
When they come to my live events and
Hmm
they listen because they're forced to, because they're in the
Mm,
audience, they then get controversial. They then want to reimagine how things rolled out. And of course they're right. No, I only remember things from my perspective. There are lots of things going on. Every time I have a conversation with my brothers and sisters, I learn new things
mm,
about what was going on. Like, wow, I never knew that was going on. So yeah, it's a very ignorant position, that sort of solo position, single perspective. I've got four siblings, so that's at least four more perspectives than mum, dad, everybody else.
yeah,
You never get
yeah.
anything right. You're trying to be true to how you felt, and the facts themselves are always possible. You try to get them right, or you change them to spare people's blushes or your own blushes. But generally, you're trying to have an emotional honesty. So with regards to siblings, yeah, when they come to the live events, they then
hmm
contest publicly what I've
Yes,
written.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when I read them in general,
hmm
I don't get the impression that they've sat down and gone with a microscope,
Yeah, and
looked
a
through every piece.
pencil
Yeah,
making notes.
thank God. You
Yeah.
see, they're bored of Pete writing books. Yeah, Pete, I have another book,
hmm
whatever.
hmm
So tactically, I got the order right. If I'd written this as the first book, they'd all be scrutinising it a lot more, I think.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So they save their heckling, but you're safe
Yes,
most.
everyone has a life. Where, as writers, we often feel that the focus is all on us. But
Mm.
really, most people have got to focus on themselves, quite rightly so. Pete's written another book. Yeah, well done. Now, how do I get this car fixed?
hmm
That's the
hmm
main concern. So that's the beautiful thing to kind of bear in mind, when I'm thinking that, oh, this may be controversial on a sort of psychological level with different people. No
Mm.
one's interested. That's my defense.
You're safe. How much is the book about memory and time? Because I know that you've written it in this non-linear way, so we move from childhood to the workplace to teenage love affairs. How much is it about the passage of time and human memory and the human mind?
What I was interested in for this genre, the memoir, was how non-linear memory generally is for everybody. That we don't sit in the present and then recall the past and then speculate on the future.
Mm,
We're often sitting in the past, immersed in a memory such that it becomes the present, the duration of that memory. Everything's mashed up.
mm,
And so one of the things I didn't like when I read a lot of memoirs is just how clean and tidy everything was. So
yes,
I wanted
yeah,
to mess it all up and say, this is more how we are as human beings. We live in all three zones at once.
yeah.
That was the plan. I don't know if it was executed well, but I had fun trying.
hmm hmm Was there anything in particular about the traditional memoir that you knew you wanted to reject after you'd read so many and you thought, actually, this is not what my book is going to be?
Yes, one of the problems with traditional memoir, I felt anyway, was that everyone's got really good hindsight. The question you
Yeah.
asked before about did your siblings controver what you were saying? Yeah, absolutely. And that perfect hindsight thing, I always objected to. They knew what was going to happen to them in advance. They steeled themselves, but most times life just slaps you, and you're like, "What the heck's going on?" And you get the hindsight after. But the beauty of the moment of confusion of not knowing, that's what I've always felt is true writing. It's the best writing. And the other thing is this kind of self-serving, self-glorifying aspect of memoir where everybody acts in a morally good way throughout, and he's disappointed by the police. Another moral failing, glancing off. Everyone else is disappointed with how others were not as morally upstanding as themselves. It became a cliche. So I wanted to put down all my failings, and in fact, the working title at one point was "All My Sins."
There's a passage that I wonder if I can find it though, that you were when you were a child and your mother asked if you've written your name, is it, on the church?
On the
And then you
church door,
list all
yeah,
your sins. I'll see if
absolutely.
I
I
can
remember
find
that
it.
one. Yeah,
Yes. Oh yeah, church door. Mom hollered at me. I hollered back. What? She said. Come down. What? Did you paint your name on the church door? What? Peter. Recent sins came to my mind. It is the recent, yeah. The concept of sins is just, and there's so much in this that I love about childhood, and because the pieces are so short, you have to so quickly, bring us to the mind of a 7-year-old or a 14-year-old, someone who's 25 and they're working their way through this racist structure or system at work. So quickly you get us into that mind. Was that easy for you to do?
I wanted to try some experiments with how do you get there quickly. And a lot of the times I felt that the thing was to throw the reader into the mind of the character straight away. Obviously,
Mm,
conventional memoir contextualizes a lot. At this age, I then saw this, and it made me consider a lot of kind of past tense hindsight, like
mm,
reflection. And I'd rather just plunge into the sort of phenomenological moment of now, of that time, as far as I can conjure it. Um, More like a poet than a prose writer
yeah,
in a sense,
yeah.
and stay in that moment. And so a lot of the text is quite absurd in that it doesn't follow any particularly logical. I kind of go with the feeling that I had at that time and how
Yeah.
that feeling would evolve.
And
It's
then these memories sit right next to each other as
yes,
well, which is really beautiful. We jump into something, we're being shouted at by our mother, and then we come out and we're face to face with a coworker, we're somewhere else. Like it bounces around as memory does.
yes, absolutely. And there's a series of text pieces where I'm at work,
Yes.
and I think you might be think I'm paid to be thinking, oh, I'm doing my job, but at the same time, if the job is sorting out a filing cabinet, it only occupies 10% of my brain. So off I go on some memory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, I think, how most people get by. If you can't stay in the full present all the
Mm.
time when we're doing these sort of things. So yeah, I do gravitate towards fantasy or imagination in my everyday life. I think about things that are quite absurd. And so I thought, let me instead of culling that and saying it's
Mm.
not on point, it's not relevant, let me suggest that part of living, part of our being as human beings, is our fantasy lives, our imaginative lives that never see the light of day. So,
Mm.
we don't like these things to imagine, but maybe 40, 50, 60% of our cerebral activity is in that world. So how can you say this is a lie if all it is fact? So I feel like you should have the imagination, the memory. Looking back to the specific trigger, I once was researching Roman soldiers in Britain, and I was thinking about the Africans who came over as Roman
Mm.
soldiers. And I thought, I'm not that interested in all the data that has been collected by the historians. What I want to know is when they lay back at night, what did they think?
Yes. Yeah. What do they talk about over breakfast? What
Yeah,
happened?
absolutely.
Yeah. What do
And,
they care about?
and the issues they've got back home, where they sort of lie there
What?
thinking,
Yeah.
well, when
Yeah.
I go back, this is going to flare up. I wanted that, I felt that's a more true representation of what it's like to be alive.
Mm.
What did they imagine? Sancho, wasn't it? Ignacio Sancho left us. And he's the first black writer, at least, who I felt wrote as a human being rather than wrote as a representative of black people
Mm.
who is trying to persuade the general population to do something, usually abolish slavery.
Mm.
So I was trying to get that vibe, that flavour, and insofar as I succeeded or failed, I don't know, but I had fun.
No, I definitely see that, and I think especially speaking from experience as a mixed race person, you speak about being Danish and Nigerian and what it means to be British, but not just Black Britishness in the general sense. Really thinking about being Mancunian
Yeah,
and living in Manchester and having loads of siblings, and then there's the influence of the church and school, and the literary world, like there's just no simple Black British story. Of course, and of course there's not. But actually, we need more books that remind us of how absurd it would be to try and do that, to try and represent
Yeah,
what
yeah,
what that even means.
it's only in the last 10 years I've felt that we've been freed enough
Mm.
that we can resist the reduction that sort of essentialism wanted to apply on us. So, yeah, it's been a great liberatory feel.
And it's true. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the liberation and the movement forwards. And my generation, a little bit more under the cosh maybe than the current generation. Yeah, I guess economically, your generation is struggling more than mine. I've heard this phrase being used by your lot.
oh yeah, go on, go on.
Called, what is it? Portfolio career.
Yes,
Things like that.
yeah.
You
Yeah, we duck and dive, we're moving
yeah,
around. Yeah,
0 hours
project to project.
contracts.
Yeah.
You've got a whole different set of troubles
Mm.
to navigate. We had certainly a different work life, and then we had different things, that different pressures on us. What I've found in certainly in working class life and in black life, there's such a sense of humour,
Mm.
and I've never felt that we need to abandon that. It's one of our coping mechanisms. I hope that there's a shot of humour in the book, as well as the more philosophical or political considerations. Bit of a mishmash, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you say it's from joy to despair. But that is, as is life. It has to be. Do you have a most joyous childhood memory? And did it make it into the book?
Joy. I think in terms of how time disappears, time melts away, then riding my bike,
Mm.
especially riding in this sort of teen circuit, like 15, 26, 7, 8, 9 years, just going round and round and round, as if we're doing the Tour de France, and
Yeah,
it'd
yeah.
be like half an hour of sweaty clanking, and you really think that you're at the peak of anything that can be achieved by any human being on a bike. And if you pull the camera away,
Mm.
it's just some scrawny kids falling around on bikes. But yeah, that I think as children, you're able to exult in the moment a lot more than adults. Adults carry these bags of woes and bags of responsibilities on their back. And yeah, but for me, the bike riding is probably the thing that I always think is the quintessence of happiness for a child,
Mm.
for me anyway.
Yeah, the freedom, the movement.
Mm.
Yeah, it represents a lot, the bike.
And that when you go downhill, as far as you're
Yes.
concerned, you're like, it's a death defying
Yeah. Now as an adult, I never go fast down hills, but as a child, I was like, yes, a hill.
Oh. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm getting lost in reminiscence. Thank you so much for interviewing me, and
Thank you for
I
chatting
hope
to me.
you enjoy the book.
Yes,
If you buy it.
absolutely. Please read it. Yeah. Dip in and out, enjoy the memory, the mind. Yes. Thank you, Pete.
My pleasure.